Greetings, everyone. You have hashtag Yakarius and
It's your lady hashtag Spark Plenty.
yes, welcome back to Reality Speaks TV. How you doing
We
today?
back.
Yeah,
I'm so
back.
happy to be here with you anytime, any place.
Yes.
You know, the thing about Reality Speaks is that it gives us a verse of reality. You know, we might not want to speak about it all the time.
Right.
But here we are with another topic.
That's a fact. So today's topic, we chose to talk about, we actually pose a rhetorical question or a question. Is marijuana a gateway drug, right? I know everybody's smiling, right? So it's legal now, what you talking about? Yes, it's legal. But does it change the fact whether it's a gateway drug or not, you know? Because alcohol is on that list as well as being a gateway drug, and it's legal. So the legal status really doesn't, you know. Everybody likes the green tea. A lot of people smoking, more people are smoking more openly now because of it. But is it a gateway drug? So we want to examine that today.
Yes, and I have a question. So first of all, it's legal in New York State, and it's not legal in a lot of states, but it's looking like it's going to be legal soon enough. But my question is, I've heard that terminology before, gateway drug. But what does it really mean to have a gateway drug?
Okay, that's a good question. I just have to say real quick before I answer that question, from my perspective, that I saw in the news yesterday that the United States House of Representatives, not New York, the feds, voted to legalize marijuana. Now, Biden is against it, right? So I don't know, they can override his veto if the Senate decides to pass it as well. And you know, they're a tougher crowd. But if the United States Senate decides to legalize marijuana as well, and Biden vetoes it, then they're going to need like 2/3. They're going to have to go back to the Senate and get a 2/3 vote or something like that. And I don't know if that's going to be possible. But anyway, this talks, the House wants it. It's a good idea. It makes sense for the feds. Because right now, according to the federal government, marijuana is a Schedule I drug because it has no medicinal value.
It's a Schedule I drug?
Yeah, because the reason why, because it has no they say it has no medicinal value, even though you can get a medical marijuana card in some states. So there's there's a contradiction there. But according to the federal government or whoever made the Surgeon General, I think it comes from his office or the CDC, one of them, I think it's the Surgeon General, that office determines that this drug has no medicinal value like cocaine. So it's not, therefore it's Schedule I. But it's really a stupid law, and I hope they get rid of it. Now, to answer your question, the question was, what is a gateway drug? So, for me, gateway, that word was something I never looked up in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a common sense word, gateway. We know what that means. If you have any usage of this language, you know what that means. But I looked it up anyway prior to the podcast.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did, yes. Because I was curious now. And basically, they saying it's a drug that's not necessarily addictive, but that could lead you to drugs that are addictive. And so they have alcohol, caffeine, marijuana, prescription pills, there might have been one more, that they had on this list that they're saying that's not addictive. Now, I don't agree with that. I'd say that marijuana is addictive.
And caffeine.
I'm a witness to that. Caffeine, of course, and alcohol is definitely addictive, So I don't know where they came from. The drug may not be addictive because all of those are addictive, And, it's an interesting thing because if you're smoking marijuana with somebody if you're in a group of people and they're smoking, for example, and some of them are multiple drug users, in other words, they don't just use marijuana, they might drink and they might sniff some coke, or they might mess with Molly or eat pills, whatever the case may be. So you might be in that environment. So meanwhile, you're smoking, everybody else is doing other things, right? You're trying to stick to this. But what happens is, our tolerance, don't get as high no more because the tolerance gets used to the THC. You want different marijuana, it starts getting boring. You watching all these people have fun with these other drugs. So it's easy to fall into that trap, like, let me try a little piece of that, let me take a little, just to have fun. You ain't looking at it as it's a gateway that you're passing through a threshold.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's some people that don't even consider marijuana to be a drug.
Well, I think a drug is anything that alters your mind state, right? And so it definitely does that. It goes into the mind like, all other drugs, and and it has an effect. It gives us the munchies, it relaxes us, it makes us want to laugh, it makes some people want to sleep. It affects the body and the mind. So anything that does that is obviously a drug. But I think the argument has always been it's a natural drug.
Yes.
And we're smoking it in its natural form.
Yeah.
And we see it, we deem it as being harmless. And for the most part it is, but you can abuse anything. You can abuse food.
Yeah.
When you mix compulsive behavior with anything, there's gonna be a problem.
That's correct.
So it's not the fact that it's food, gambling, sex, or the drugs. It's the compulsive behavior that dictates, how a person moves in that type
Is
of
marijuana gay? I guess the question is, have you known anybody? You've been around a little longer. Have you known anybody on your on your journey that you've watched them smoke marijuana and then escalate to something stronger?
I watched them in the mirror, me.
Oh, so you started off with marijuana?
Yeah, I started off with
That was your very first drug?
Well, if I go by the list, probably cigarettes would be the first one.
So that's nicotine.
All right, and there's a debate whether nicotine is a drug or not. I think it's a drug. Surgeon General.
It's addictive.
And the Surgeon General was given a warning.
So you know what? Because I would say sugar is a drug. And I think that sugar is the gateway drug to all.
Sugar.
I think it's the worst drug.
Salt, too. If you want to say it.
Sugar
because we got to have
salt.
sugar more than salt. Sugar has more effect on how we move than salt does.
Yeah.
But, so now that marijuana is legal, I started with marijuana.
Wow.
But and remember when I started with marijuana, and I don't want to tell my age. When I started with marijuana, it all came from other places. We used to get it from Africa, Hawaii, Panama, Mexico, places like that. It never we didn't. Homegrown stuff was garbage.
Wow.
And the stuff coming from Jamaica was garbage too. Jamaican weed, we stayed away from.
Who had the best weed, Naman?
Everybody else,
Oh, snap.
But it was natural. There
What's
were
a blood clot?
like it was natural. And then they wanted to have a war on it. They started spraying it with chemicals. So when the weed started coming over, this paraquat drug they were spraying, I remember this. I even tasted it in my mouth once. I'm like, everybody got turned off. And so people started learning how to grow in the United States. And therefore, that's what developed that market for homegrown. And people learned how to perfect it from that first time, that first crop after that, which was called sesame, to today, the perfection. People know we got it down to a science, and we was forced to do it. This is how much we love and enjoy this plant.
That's
and
very
smoking
interesting.
it, or eating it, if whatever the case may be. So it appears to be very harmless. Most people think it's more harmless than alcohol. It should have been legal way before alcohol. But I don't know. You can get carried away with anything. And so don't misunderstand that we cannot get carried away even with
So I'm guessing we call it a gateway in this case with you because you started off with it. Did you have a desire for something stronger? Is that why you call it a gateway drug? Like usually people, you start off with marijuana. Usually people start off with marijuana and they escalate to maybe cocaine or pills, something that gives them a little bit more of an intense feeling, because marijuana has a distinct, unique effect when these other drugs don't. Like, so I'm thinking that the person that started off with marijuana was just a drug trier. And
well, the thing, so say, let's look at it another way. Say I didn't start out with marijuana and I wasn't in no circles with no one smoking. That's an important thing. So could I, at some age, end up in a circle with people who are using cocaine and go straight for that, or using heroin and go straight for that, or using, I guess the trick or the key is to stay away from certain environments and certain people if that's not what you want to do, So, for example, as you know, I just had surgery Friday
we
before
forgot
last.
to say you
Friday
back from
before last,
surgery.
right?
Success.
And they gave me hydrocodone, right? So they really monitoring this and everything real hard. They gave me enough for 7 days, 2 a day. And so the option came to renew the prescription, Now I'm only in my 2nd week. I'm supposed to be off my feet for 6 weeks. I ain't supposed to live, and I'm still healing. The wound where they cut my flesh and went in there is still in healing stages and swollen actually. But I decided not to renew it. Okay, because I don't want to get caught in that cycle where I'm starting to enjoy
And I was like, renew it. Ask your doctor for some more.
Yeah, but I'm like,
you in pain.
I'm going to go the rest of this without it. So, but that's one example of how easy it is to get, and you don't even realize it. And you could justify, I no, I just had surgery, I need to take this. And then once I'm healed, then what excuse do I use then, right?
Yeah.
What excuse do I use then? So, that's another trick. They said prescription pills is on that list of a gateway drug, and that's one of the ways that happen. There are many people that end up using heroin and now fentanyl as a result of starting out with some kind of injury. They were taking Oxycontin or hydrocodone, whatever, and then ended up feeling good about it and wanting to continue doing it. So we have to be careful of that method as well. But back to the marijuana, it just seems to be so harmless. Another con about it is it's expensive. It costs money to smoke.
It's an expensive habit.
Yeah, it costs money to smoke. So that's another perspective. It has nothing to do with it being a gateway. It has everything to do also with the economics of us as a people, of us as individuals, maybe even as in our families. We have to really be realistic. If we looked at the numbers and looked at how much we spent from January 1st to December 31st and looked at the numbers, you're going to be like, dang, I could have bought me a car. I have $10,000, $50,000. I could have bought a car.
Own business.
Or anything. When we look at it. So that's just a separate thing. I just wanted to throw in. And I'm conscious of that too, but at the same time, we just want to have fun and enjoy ourselves. And we all, it's like going to buy a drink, right?
It's an interesting conversation because this is one of those controversial ones that people that smoke has never gatewayed anywhere. They've been smoking weed or marijuana or hemp cannabis, whatever name you got for a chief, Mary Jane, for years and never escalated. They've never even taken a drink with it.
That's a fact.
There's some people that haven't even drank with it. So that's why I'm like, this is an interesting conversation because I feel like people who have went further but beyond marijuana is going to say it's a gateway drug. But there's millions of people who have never went past marijuana. They stop right there. As a matter of fact, they have it under control. They use it as directed. They use it as needed. They don't add, they don't use it every day. So you got people, all types, but I really do feel like it's a drug that can be controlled. I feel like anybody that went beyond marijuana just wanted to. But they like to blame marijuana. Marijuana gets a lot of blame for everything. But if you look at the side effects of marijuana, there's some effects. Sometimes your brain can get a little foggy. You might move a little slower. You might get a little bit more creative and intelligent. Your nerves might calm down. These are all symptoms that slow us down. But marijuana never killed anyone. There's nothing on record to say that marijuana has killed anyone. It might cause palpitations if you have so much or the wrong strand. The strand that's not for biologically made up for you. That's why there's so many different strands. Because each strand is biologically, compatible to you. So just like trial and error with every medication, if it doesn't work well, they give you a different dose or maybe a different type or a strand to see how your body reacts. But I honestly feel like in my heart of hearts, there's plenty of people who have used marijuana and used marijuana alone and hasn't gatewayed them to any place.
Okay.
And there are some people who went above and beyond that, and I feel like those people just wanted to.
Well, I have a perfect example of that, but I just wanted to say, first of all, that I think that I'm in denial sometimes. Because you mentioned all the side effects of smoking marijuana. I didn't hear forgetfulness, right? And I suffer from that when I smoke. I can't remember where I put the marijuana in. Right? So, and for me, that's a serious thing. How do you forget? Was I that high? Last night, was I that high? I don't know where nothing is at. And so I need to take a look at, am I really getting this high off of this green tea? But anyway, for me, I just speaking, and I think there's some envy on my part. I envy a person. So I use my brother, for example. One of my brothers, I had two brothers they were twins. I'm not a twin, they were twins. Much older than me. 18, 20 years older. My mother waited a long time to have me. Him and his wife were together 60 years or plus. Both smoked marijuana. Both retired from their jobs. Worked their whole life, retired, raised 3 girls. They had 2 twin girls and another one. So they had 3 kids, grandkids. One of them worked for the FBI. They smoked marijuana their whole life, even after they retired. And I'm envious of this because they never gatewayed into anything. And my envy also comes from the fact that they would pay their bills first, and whatever they had left, then they'll smoke from that. Me, my day, I'm smoking first, and then my bills will get paid after that. And if you didn't get paid, oh well, then I'll see you next month. But I'm gonna smoke first, right? And they were the opposite, and they did it consistently, and I respect them for that. So they were perfect. I'm envious of people that can enjoy just alcohol, or and then because I'm a former hard drug user, and it caught, I paid a high price for living a low life. I'll just put it that way. And so, and still paying a high price, But I'm holding my head up, and we're gonna, I'm doing some things about that. I ain't just talking about it. I'm putting my
That's right.
Put my money where my mouth is. I'm gonna try to at least start a conversation before I leave. So anyway, I'm just envious.
But you know what? I think that you bring up the point, envious. I think that some of us biologically have an addictive personality. Like, I feel like I have an addictive personality, meaning that I can go somewhere, do something, and indulge in it over and over and over again. And I also agree that I have an impulsivity about me. I can be impulsive. So people who have characteristics that are impulsive or addictive personalities somewhat have a strike of naivety and a little bit on the gullible side. I feel like these people can easily get into an addiction or, be swayed somewhere. So some people are just strong-willed by nature, very disciplined, and can, take things out. And there's some people who are a little bit more lackadaisical, a little bit more nonchalant about the situation, a little bit more cool breezy. They call them kind of like gypsy, bohemian types, a little bit, like Nirvana, kind of like what they call people from back in the day, like Woodstocky hippies kind of. So you got all different types of personalities too. And if you notice, hippies, they use like mushrooms, they like psychedelic type things, and it's different types of high, right? Mushrooms give you more of a psychedelic, looking at things and watch things open up like portals. So I've heard, so it's just that I feel like, that might be the case too. Just different strokes for different folks as far as discipline and naturally who they are comes in.
We are at the 18 and a half mark. I know we want to stay at 20 minutes.
Yes.
But I want to throw this little point out, and it's a can of worms. Like, it's, you were saying, people are hippies, this, that, and the third or the fourth. But does it make us happy at the end of the day, And is it a coping mechanism? That's what I really want to ask. Like, are we using it to cope with things,
Possibly.
And if that's the case, it could be an issue. So that's just a different perspective. Like, are we still running away from life by smoking this? Are we just doing it occasionally, just on the weekend after work? Or do we have to get up in the morning and go to bed with it? So is it a coping mechanism? And that's just a different perspective right there.
That's when it becomes an addiction, right? Yeah.
So we don't want to keep them, right?
Well, no, we just came in here to give us a dose of real talk. We are real people.
In real time, right?
It's your lady.
It's definitely your man. Hashtag your carriers. And we have some other things going on. So just
stay tuned
Stay tuned, right? And until the next time. Peace.
Follow, share, subscribe, and don't forget to leave your opinions down below. See you next time.
Okay.
So we posing or nah?
Okay. Pose.
something else.